An NFL team always has that one game where they completely massacre their opponents. A game that fans love watching the replays of in the future. They also have those games where they're on the other side of that massacre, a game that fans want to forget in the past. Of course, there are always those type of games where a team is getting destroyed in the first half, and then they come back and win the game in the second half. I personally find those type of games the most thrilling to watch. But what if I told you that there's an NFL game that was horrible to watch for both teams, but at the same time, it was a thrilling and fun game to watch? What is the best and worst football game in NFL history? Yo, what is up? Dan here from True Business Review, and today we are going to be talking about what is the best and worst football game in the NFL. So there are many games to pick out of, but I think I've narrowed it down to the best pick. So rivalries in the NFL is what makes some games worth watching. It ignites a flame within us. Personally, if I see a Patriots fan in person, I flame them for being a bandwagon. You already know it's 90%. But if I see a Ravens jersey, I just get really angry. But rivalries is what makes the NFL the NFL. And without any rivalries in the NFL, it would be boring to watch. Some notable rivalries include the Cowboys-Eagles, the Ravens-Steelers, and the Bears-Packers. But this specific rivalry is one of the most aggressive in the league, the Steelers-Bengals rivalry. And I think it's all thanks to one player, Vontaze Burfict. As many of you know, Vontaze Burfict is one of the dirtiest players in the entire NFL, accumulating 13 suspensions with the Bengals, and has been fined for a total of $4.12 million from 2012 to 2018 as a Bengal. Recently, Vontaze Burfict was suspended again, and the NFL grew so tired of his past suspensions that they gave him the longest suspension in NFL history for an on-field action. Burfict played for the Oakland Raiders in 2019, and 4 games into the season, Vontaze Burfict was suspended 12 games, and the rest of the postseason, assuming the Raiders would make it, for one hit he had on a Colts player. Vontaze Burfict truly is the dirtiest player in the NFL, but how does this have to do anything with the best and worst game in NFL history? Well, like I mentioned before, Vontaze Burfict was fined $4.12 million, but little do you know that $1.5 million of those dollars were all from Pittsburgh Steelers games. Vontaze Burfict hates the Pittsburgh Steelers with his life. He has injured Antonio Brown twice, James Conner, kicked fullback Roosevelt Nix, and was fined $69,454 for a combination of unsportsmanlike conduct plays against the Steelers. All of this leads me to the best and worst game ever played in NFL history, and of course, this game was the Steelers at Bengals 2017 regular season matchup. Oh wait, I thought you were talking about the other game, the playoff game. Well, I do want to talk about that because it gives us some action we need to know for this matchup in the future. So the previous year in 2016, the Steelers played at the Bengals in the postseason, a game that went down in NFL history for one of the dirtiest games ever played. After an action-filled game, the Pittsburgh Steelers were leading 15-10 with 1:50 seconds left in the game. And then out of nowhere, AJ Green catches an incredible pass to put the Bengals up 15-16. After missing a 2-point conversion, the Steelers got the ball back, and Big Ben had to sit out for the following snap. Landry Jones throws the football down the field, and you guessed it, it was intercepted. How fitting, of course. But who intercepted it? Vontaze Burfict. All the Bengals had to do was get a first down, and the game was over. But the running back fumbled the ball, and the Pittsburgh Steelers recovered. This was definitely crazy to start with, but I definitely believe that this play led the Bengals defense become salty. But of course the game wasn't over, and the Bengals could still easily win with the knocked up Big Ben on this final drive. The Steelers make it to the 50-yard line with 22 seconds left in the game. Big Ben throws incomplete to Antonio Brown, bringing the clock down to 18 seconds. But wait, Vontaze Burfict hits Antonio Brown in the head, giving the Steelers a 15-yard penalty and an easy field goal to win the game. With debatably one of the dirtiest shots in NFL history, Vontaze Burfict was fined $502,941 for this hit on Antonio Brown, which potentially gave AB brain damage, which could explain why AB is mentally unfit to play in the NFL today. But I thought this video was about the best and worst game. Sure, the Steelers won this game, they basically lost Antonio Brown, but they would go on to lose the following week in the divisional round, so none of that really mattered anyway. But like I said earlier, the Steelers at Bengals 2017 is the best and worst game in NFL history. This is the second encounter of the season between these two teams, and this is the first time they've played each other since that game in Cincinnati again. The Steelers were on a hot streak, and they were definitely thriving to win this game. They had a really good record, and they were aiming for that first seed. But honestly, I don't like talking about this game. There's a certain play that I hate to show you, and is one of the worst things in NFL history. Sadly, Ryan Shazier, a star player for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was badly injured on this play and was paralyzed waist down when he was tackling a Bengals player. Fortunately, Ryan Shazier is improving every day. He walked across the stage to announce a Steelers draft pick. All love for Ryan Shazier, and hopefully he can make it to the NFL again. But this is definitely just one of the worst things that's ever happened in NFL history, and it definitely discouraged the Steelers to finish the rest of that game. The Bengals grew a huge lead at halftime, and this looked like the game was over, and the Steelers players had given up. But like I mentioned before, some of the most thrilling games in the NFL are the games where a team has an incredible comeback in the second half. And this game was definitely one of them. Down 0-17 at halftime, this was the time for the Steelers to shine. There are definitely a lot of notable rookies that the Steelers drafted in 2017, but an up-and-coming wide receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster, was having an amazing rookie season. It was becoming a fan favorite for all NFL fans around the world, even Bengals fans. Well, until that night. Because of all the unfortunality that Vontaze Burfict has caused, the Pittsburgh Steelers was about to bite him in his. And who better to deliver the blow than Juju Smith-Schuster? This play was one of the most iconic, revengeful hits in NFL history. Some people say that Juju standing over him after the hit was disrespectful, but I see it as putting the cherry on top. It was one of the best things I've ever seen in a football game. Juju will be suspended the following game, but 100% it was definitely worth it. With Juju getting a much-needed revenge shot on Vontaze Burfict, and Le'Veon Bell not even getting touched on a touchdown run, the Steelers made an incredible comeback to win the game 23-20 at Cincinnati. So this definitely was one of those sweet and sour type of games that I enjoyed, but hated to watch at the same time. What came from this game was the infamous injury of Ryan Shazier and the famous revenge on Vontaze Burfict. So what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below, and please hit that like and subscribe button. I really would appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Adios.